trace differences and changes over time from attitudes to, for example, I don't know, knowledge. One of the big findings we just analyzed the current big batch of data is that we asked the students how different or similar they think people from these two countries are, and we give them like 30 country pairs at the beginning of the course and then at the end. How do you think the change goes?
Not very similar at the beginning, but...
No, actually the other way around. So on the 7-point scale at the beginning of the project, they usually give about 5 on average of those 30-something pairs. At the end, the drop is 2 standard, like almost half, like a huge drop. And I guess it's kind of expected because many studies have shown that interaction between people, like first studies from the 50s when they would have people of different race, playing the same team, and all of a sudden, prejudice and stereotypes go down. Almost the same thing, people all of a sudden say, yeah, I don't think we're that different. We have a question though, the second question is how easy or difficult do you think it would be to work with people from those countries? And that one actually goes up. So they say we're not that different, but now realize that it would be more difficult to work with them. But I guess that's some value there as well. So all those surveys, and again, we normally look at team dynamics and performance, so we're interested in some things, but we look at completely different things. But then on top of that, you have all those observation data. So for example, ability to meet deadlines, all those kinds of things. So you have all that records. Normally we also have the students submit records of their emails and stuff like that, so we have information about communication. And then obviously you have quality of the team report, you have peer evaluations embedded in the final survey. So all those give you different data, plus because we want to do it multi-level, we have team level, we have national level, we have individual level. We also use archival data on country characteristics just to kind of basically look at the differences in the environments. So the only problem is that you have all those 5 or 6 surveys or data sets that you need to merge at the end of the semester, and so it's thousands of observations multiple times over time, and plus it's nested data, individuals within teams, teams within classes, classes within countries. So merging that it's a major headache, but by now we kind of figured out a way to do it well.
So you pull down this data and you merge it together, and then you send it to all of the instructors, or who actually keeps, who has the data?
This is a wonderful question, and it's kind of a work in progress. Yes, I do share it with all the participating instructors. I do keep the original data, and I have them on multiple hard drives in case something happens to the data. Everyone who participates in the project is welcome to participate in what we call the research side, and we just submitted 4 papers for the Academy of Management, Academy of International Business. A couple of months ago, that was the first series of papers that we wrote because that was only when we started getting some data. So the plan is that we will have multiple papers and hopefully at least a couple of them per year based on the survey. The number of research questions that we already generated that we can answer with these, that's dozens and dozens, so virtually limitless. But one thing that I'm thinking about, and I'm hoping that instructors will not mind, I'm thinking about posting those data to the open, basically on the internet, maybe just the same, or maybe not the whole thing, and basically telling this is the data we have. If you come with a good idea to me, I will be happy to work with you. We have all those PhDs who are willing to work with you. We just get to be co-authors. And hopefully then we'll have a much larger pool of ideas. And it would be service to the community. There are many people out there struggling and searching for data, and we have a wonderful data set, as well as there will be more minds and more hands put to good use, and we'll get to be, not all, but at least those who participated directly get to be co-authors. We'll see how it goes, but I've seen people who would have, like for example, there was this guy, Paul Beamish at Ivy Business School in Canada, who's published I don't know how many hundred papers, but turns out he just got his hands on a data set from the 80s and expatriates in Japan. And so he published who knows how many papers from the data set. Well, we have a data set that is equally good. The only thing I wish it was not all students, because some schools are kind of prejudiced, some journalists are prejudiced against students. But again, we have lots of MBA students, many of them work full-time.
Thank you.
So I suppose we have some, some defense there. But I guess, we have what we have. Final comment, and then in case you have more questions. We use Qualtrics for data collection. It's a very expensive tool, but the school pays for the license, so it's free to me. Works very well, and it has a number of features that, for example, SurveyMonkey doesn't. I believe now it does, but at the time when we switched from SurveyMonkey to Qualtrics, it didn't. Like, for example, it would allow you to send automatically reminders to those who didn't complete the survey. So I don't no longer have to manually go and check who completed. It just automatically knows and sends, please do. At the same time, it can also send thank you notes automatically. Another thing it does that other programs don't do, it allows Java code to be written. Like sometimes you want basically what they call adaptive tests. Depending on how the student answers question 1, a different question is selected. And so the guy, Donald Pound, is very good at that stuff, so we wrote some code there, and so we can actually do some sophisticated surveying, so we can use fewer questions to basically collect more data. And so Qualtrics allows that, and that's one of the things I wouldn't be able to do without it. So I don't even know how to get it, but it works. So once the student answers question 1, everything else gets rearranged, but then seamlessly merged together once the survey is done. So again, if you want to do that kind of high-tech stuff, it would work very well. Another big deal also is that Qualtrics, and I suppose it could be done in SurveyMonkey, but Qualtrics definitely does it very well. When you send invitation to complete the survey, the student information is embedded in the link. So his name, school, all that stuff is recorded automatically. In the first semester, we asked students to type in their names, and it was such a mess. And the students write the names, first, last, nickname, short name, all that kind of stuff, and merging them, it just wasn't possible, and some of them could never be identified. Now, as long as they take the survey, I have an automatic way of identifying the student, so it works very well. You know what, I think I'm going to stop here. I can talk about more things, but you got the idea. And so I could, for example, talk about challenges of communication. That's a big deal. I'm extremely strict with instructors as to what they can reply to all, so it doesn't spam on email accounts. Most of the ones, like for example, we had an issue about plagiarism, which turns out some students would copy and paste things. So we would actually have Google Docs, empowered discussion boards where we can discuss things like that. We have a couple of Google Docs files, and again, would have shown if I started from there, but research papers currently in progress. We've developed a very sophisticated system for managing, monitoring and managing performance and collaboration. You imagine when there are so many people involved, first, how do you decide who is a co-author? Second, how do you decide who gets to work on the paper? And third, of those who signed up, how do you eventually know in which order the author should appear, as well as who may not be deserving their authorship on this paper. And so there is a Google Docs document that everyone can edit. So where first, once you generate the idea, you describe the idea. Then people sign up if they want to work. And then there is a table where, basically the lead author says, who did what. And so there is a very nice, at the end, kind of summary. Each one has points according to their contribution. And so it's easy to see then who gets to be first, second, third author and stuff like that. As well as if somebody has to be kicked out, well, it's not me. I mean, we agreed on that. We have like a whole document for co-authorship rules. Everyone subscribes to, they know what they sign in for. And as long as you don't get enough points, you're automatically out. Because I used to be the one of the 4 papers you submitted and maybe another 4 in process. I'm the author on about 5. And so one of the most painful things for me was to remind instructors that they haven't done their share and they may be kicked out. And many of those people are much more senior than I am. Some of them are from Asia, Middle East, where, who am I to tell them some kind of, and now it's all automatic. In fact, sometimes we even think that maybe we should, basically the emails about, you are kicked out should be generated automatically so that nobody is blamed. I mean, the system, this is the rules and the system decided. So that kind of stuff. So, yeah, all those kinds of things. But anyway, you got the idea, and I would be happy to answer questions now as well as later if you want to ask questions later. Any other questions?
Well, I have a question. I'm sorry. There are many management journals. Psychology seems to be the only one that is prepared to accept papers that are based on students. Almost everything is based on students. But yours is different. This is a treasure trove. The data set that you're developing, I suggest you think about ways in which you can make that data set proprietary. And we can commercialize it through our Department of Tech Transfer, okay? Again, we can give it away for free, but the name of Vas2, Brian School, as a code leader will always be trademarked with it, okay?
Eric Ford, even before the project started, when I just had the idea, he said that you can make money on this.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
No, it's not just money. Making money is one thing, okay? I was trying to talk about your glory, okay? For you, glory may be more valuable than anything else.
It definitely is much more. Like, for example, for the first time last year when they come to the conference, all of a sudden everyone seems to know you. And
Thank you.
Oh, you're that guy. Oh,
yes.
Then also we would gather all the instructors. Well, not all, but there were about 12 of them in Japan at the Academy of International Business. This semester, this year, we actually want to have a separate extra day dedicated to the project at the end of the Academy of Management and at the end of the Academy of International Business, with most instructors, not all, but most can come, and then we want to invite external people. So basically, discuss ideas, papers, as well as maybe if anyone want to do something.
If you play this the right way, the one that that comes to me as the epitome of such data set is, of course, CRISP and companies data. But that's one thing. Second thing I wanted to say is, although these are students, as you correctly said, many of them are MBA students. Many of them are business school students. If in your questionnaire, you can somehow identify their work life.
We have questions
Okay.
about that. No, we do have
Then,
questions about that.
As far as I'm concerned, you have data sets on employees
Exactly.
of different people,
I would also
of different
You know
countries.
it.
Yeah.
Think about the other way, you've got data on consumers and data on the.
Data on
Consumers that
Right.
people want.
Yes,
That has to do
exactly.
with
Data on
students,
consumers.
right? I
Plus,
mean,
on top of that, like for example, in psychology, some of the meta-analysis that I did was on culture, and most of those would be done by psychologists. And literally 95% of the papers would be students. Well, the question there is, are students representative of the general public and whatever you want to generalize it to? Well, here the question is, do you really think that students communicate differently than employees, or would they communicate differently in 2 years when they graduate? So I'm thinking that the challenge is that, like for example, one of the findings is that time zone difference matters, but kilometer distance doesn't. Well, I'm guessing it's exactly the same for employees. I mean, diversity in terms of time zone differences is going to be important, and
Right.
kilometers probably don't matter at all. The same thing, for example, in terms of value diversity or economic diversity. So I'm guessing that even though those may not be truly representative of their national cultures or nations, in terms of challenges they experience and best practices at work, I'm guessing they're pretty much going to be the same in this sample as they would have been in other samples. We have a similar reward structure. They still work like employees for some kind of reward there. So there are many similarities. Though again, I wish I had real employees.
The other thing I'll tell you is, speak to Dr. Quasi. He does a lot of work in project management. A very hot area of research, particularly in the last 15 years since the internet has emerged, is global project management. And it is hard as heck, but it's something that most big companies will give an arm and a leg for, effective global project management, because of all the outsourcing that has happened, particularly in the IT industry. It is a challenge for companies like Hewlett-Packard. I've seen one of their products. It was so elementary. Hewlett-Packard and some of the others to manage global projects. So keep this up, yes, because what you're doing is also, you will be able to collect data and probably get some information on best practices of global project management.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I didn't even think that it would be of interest to information systems or.
No.
But I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Well, again, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. There is a guy here who I know does not quite the same global. There is actually everything on within one class, but they have very good ideas for how you can, for example, arrange automatic grading of projects and stuff like that. So kind of more the technical side. And so if you remember him and Eric Ford, they may have some ideas for you, and we may eventually use their programming products basically from the IT side. So, but yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.